Hey, I'm Michelle, and this is my Startup Success Series. Today we're talking about Zoom. Zoom was founded by Yuan. Eric was born and raised in China, and he showed entrepreneurial spirit from a very young age. Growing up, he would read his father's newspapers about Silicon Valley, fascinated with startups like Microsoft and Apple. In 1994, he was in Japan and attended a keynote speech by Bill Gates all about the internet, and he was inspired. That's where he decided that he wanted to move to Silicon Valley to be part of the internet revolution. So he applied for a US visa, but he got rejected 8 times. For his 9th attempt, he reached out to WebEx co-founder Surpassed, which was just a small sub-20 person startup at the time, and got them to sponsor his H-1B visa. He didn't speak a word of English, but he knew how to code. So in 1997, at age 27, he finally immigrated to the US and joined WebEx as one of the first founding engineers. Looking back, Eric reflects on these series of rejections as a positive experience because he felt it helped him practice his perseverance. This is an important lesson for founders. It's a simple one, but don't give up. Zoom is a story of perseverance. Eric worked hard at WebEx for 10 years and rose up to become their VP of engineering. WebEx went public in 2000 and was acquired by Cisco in 2007. During that time, Eric helped build their video conferencing product from the ground up. But he started to notice that customers weren't happy with it because WebEx didn't start off as a video conferencing platform. It was originally built for audio only, and they tacked on video features afterwards. Eric shared he couldn't find a single happy customer, and this led him to feel unhappy himself. I mean, imagine waking up every day to work on something you know people don't like. Eric felt that the only way forward was to build an entirely new video native solution. He tried but failed to convince Cisco management, so he ultimately decided to leave his role and his 6-figure paycheck at age 41 to start over and build a new solution from scratch. He set out to compete with the very same company that he helped create. In 2011, Zoom was born. Fun fact, it was originally called SASB, but they changed the name to Zoom a year later. On that first day, Eric wrote down the company values, 2 words: deliver happiness, because his experience at Cisco had made him realize the importance of keeping your employees and customers happy. Another important lesson for founders. To this day, that's still the company's culture. Cisco, WebEx, and most competitors at the time had built their video conferencing solutions to be accessed directly through the web browser. Eric decided to take a different approach and build Zoom as a standalone native application that had to be installed in your computer, but that would still work well with every major web browser, because he knew that this approach would result in much better video quality and features. But this is a very hard technical feat, so he needed to raise money and hire an outstanding engineering team. Eric really struggled to fundraise from investors at first. Nobody thought the world needed a new video conferencing solution. One VC straight up told him, "You shouldn't do this. This is a horrible idea." And Eric shares that after that meeting, he changed his screensaver on his computer to say, "You are wrong." Fun fact, he only took that down when they became a NASDAQ public company. This is a super important lesson for founders. VCs are wrong. A lot. We'll be the first to admit it. So if you think you're right and they're wrong, you just have to work harder to show them that you're right. Don't give up. Zoom is a story of perseverance. Without investors, Eric ended up having to raise money from friends and family at first. But once he had the money in hand, Eric hired a team of 40 engineers and got to work for 18 months building the basic framework for the Zoom app. In August 2012, they launched their beta. To help get the word out to customers, they met with Walt Mossberg, a technology reviewer from the Wall Street Journal, and demoed the product to him. After trying it out himself, he wrote a positive review. This instantly gave them 50,000 customers overnight. Throughout their beta, Eric was hyper-focused on the customer experience. He personally emailed every customer that canceled their subscription to understand why and how they could improve the product. In January 2013, Zoom came out of beta and raised a $6 million Series A. In order to grow fast, Eric launched Zoom as a freemium, which allowed up to 100 participants and 40 minutes of video calls at no cost. Once companies tried it out, he knew that they would see how great Zoom was and sign up for the paid subscription. And this strategy worked. By May 2013, they had 3,500 businesses and over 1 million customers. And in September 2013, they raised their Series B, another $6.5 million. In 2015, they raised a $30 million Series C led by Emergence Capital. And in 2016, they raised $100 million in Series D led by Sequoia Capital, at a $1 billion valuation. They reached unicorn status. In April 2019, Zoom went public. That day, their stock price went up by 72%. Which meant Zoom was valued at $16 billion. They had 10 million monthly active users on their platform. Now, this all sounds amazing, and it is. They were still far behind Skype. Remember Skype? Skype started almost a decade before Zoom. And to give you a sense, Skype had around 300 million monthly active users, so 30x that of Zoom's. Everything changed in 2020 when the pandemic hit. Even though Skype was the market leader, it had been originally built for audio calls, not video calls. Zoom was specifically built for video from day one. It was easier to sign up for, you didn't even need to have an account, more user-friendly to use, you could literally get into a meeting with just a click of a button, and it offered free group video calls, which no other platform did at the time. It was the better product. When everyday people needed to use video calls, Zoom became their top choice. It started growing viral from word of mouth. They broke the record for the most downloaded app on the App Store. Over 2 million downloads in one day. But this wasn't without growing pains. Zoom was a B2B company, servicing enterprise customers. And all of a sudden, they found themselves needing to serve consumers and a bunch of new use cases like telemedicine, education, weddings, things they'd never done before. The biggest challenge they faced was security and privacy. Because they were a B2B company, Zoom would normally work with enterprise IT teams to enable all the right security features. But consumers just jumped right in and started doing things like posting their meeting IDs on social media with no passwords. This is how Zoom bombing happened, where strangers and bad actors would crash a Zoom meeting inappropriately. So in April 2020, Eric released a statement apologizing for these issues and stating the steps they were taking to address them. Over the next few months, they forced passwords and other security features into every Zoom meeting by default. They grew their security team from a dozen people to over 200. They spun up a security council. And finally, Eric personally hosted weekly security webinars for end users. Eric shares this as a big lesson for founders about trust. When you lose your customers' trust, you need to admit that you messed up. Take action as quickly as possible and be super transparent and open with your customers about what you're doing about it. Communicate with them. They can tell when you're just talking or when you're really working to make things right. In the end, they were able to win trust back. By 2021, they were the market leader, owning close to 50% of the market. Today, Google Meet is Zoom's biggest competitor. Eric shares that they're working on Zoom 2.0, which he says won't just be a video conferencing app, but rather a platform where you could speak to somebody in a different language, shake their hand, and even smell what's around them. I'm excited for the future of Zoom. And that's the story. Till next time.